my friends, it's Lisa and welcome to a very exciting reading vlog. I recently have kind of entered my romance era. I have been wanting to read a lot of romance recently. I kind of started to get a little bit into it in 2021 and now kind of all I want to read is romance. And a kind of subgenre, I suppose, to romance that I have been really interested and kind of wanting to get into over the past little while is historical romances. I kind of just want to become a historical romance girly, so I decided why not do a reading vlog dedicated to reading some and see if I like them. So for this vlog, I'm going to be reading 3 historical romance novels and we will see if I become the historical romance girly that I want to be. So let's go over my TBR for this video. I firstly wanted to read The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. This was kind of the book that inspired this entire video. So my friends Casey and Mafalda host a book club, and for each month they put up a poll of books that they can read for their book club for that month, and this was an option. It didn't end up winning, but when I was looking at the options to vote for, this was the one that I really wanted to read. It was the one I voted for, so unfortunately it lost, but I decided to read it anyway. But this is definitely the one that kind of caught my attention and made me want to do this vlog, so I knew I had to read this one in this video. And then I decided to go with 2, I think, like more popular series and authors. So I also wanted to read The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. Tessa Dare is a very popular historical romance author. As someone who doesn't know very much about the genre and doesn't know that many authors, I have heard of Tessa Dare and I knew that I wanted to read one of her books for this video. Even before really getting into romance, I wanted to read Tessa Dare's books. I feel like I had just seen so many good things about her books, and if I was going to read a historical romance at a time when I wasn't that into romance, this was the author that I wanted to check out, so I knew I had to read Tessa Dare as well. And then the final one I wanted to read is The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. This is the first book in the Bridgerton series, which has a very popular Netflix show, which I've never watched. I didn't really know much about this book before going into it, so I wanted to check that one out as well because of the popularity of the show and everything. I just felt like I couldn't do a historical romance reading vlog without reading one of the Bridgerton books because of its popularity, so I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. So yeah, that is my TBR for this video. Those are the 3 books that I decided to read to introduce me to the historical romance genre. I also thought it'd be fun to kind of make a prediction based off of these 3 books, which one was going to be my favorite, which one was going to be in the middle, and which one was going to be my least favorite. I am introing this vlog after reading all of these books, but I did make this prediction before reading them, and you'll hear me mention this kind of ranking and prediction throughout the vlog. But before reading any of these books, I thought my ranking of my favorites was going to be The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. I thought that was going to be my #1 favorite from this vlog. Then The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. And then I thought my least favorite was going to be The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. So we will see as we continue on with this vlog if that prediction was correct. You will just have to keep watching to find out. But yeah, that is my prediction for this vlog and also my TBR for this video. So let's just get into reading these historical romances. Okay, so I've started the first book for this vlog. I started with The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics, and I keep getting confused about how to say celestial, I don't know. So this is about a girl named Lucy who sees the girl that she was like in love with get married. So she's kind of looking for a way to get out of this town, and she ends up getting a letter from the Countess of Moth, and her name is Catherine, and she writes her this letter looking for someone to be able to translate this text about astronomy and everything. And Lucy is very like knowledgeable because her father knew a lot about it and she had learned so much from him. So she goes to offer herself as the person to translate the text, and then there's kind of a romance that blooms between them, and so far I'm really enjoying it. It took me a little bit to be like really into it. Like I was enjoying it from the start, but I wasn't like as into it, I feel like, as I could have been. And then once like the romance really started, I was like, okay, I'm into it. And also I'm just really liking the relationship, and I also am really liking the writing as well. There's been a lot of really great quotes. So yeah, overall I'm having a great time with it. I'm actually doing some sprints on Casey's channel right now, so I might finish it. I'm like 130 pages I think into the book, and I think it's only like, it's a little over 300 pages I think, so I might actually finish it on these sprints. But so far I'm liking it. I wanted to give an update before I finished it, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So I feel like my prediction before starting reading these books of this being my second favorite might be wrong, but this is also the first one I'm reading, so we'll see. But so far I am really enjoying it. Okay, sprints on Casey's channel are over, and I read a decent amount during the time that I was sprinting. So I'm now on page 213. I'm on chapter 10. I think there's like 16 chapters. So I think I'm probably just going to finish this today. I have like 150, maybe less, because there's all the acknowledgments and stuff at the end of the ebook. So there's probably like 100 and maybe 40-ish pages left. So I think I'm going to try and finish that today. I'm still really enjoying it. I feel like the more I read, the more invested I get into the relationship, and like anytime there's any moment between them, I'm just thriving. And I also just like that they're really like standing up for each other and also what they believe, and like the fact that just because they're women doesn't mean that they can't do certain things or like certain things. And I just really like that conversation as well, and like the things that they're doing to stand up for themselves. It's been great. I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, I'm like a little over halfway through the book. I wanted to give one last update before I finished it because, like I said, I think I'm going to try and finish it today because I'm really enjoying it. So I just wanted to update to say that I'm still loving it and I'm having a great time, and I'm hoping that we just continue on that path throughout the rest of the book. So I've now finished The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics, and I still am trying to figure out a rating. I feel like it's gonna be a pretty high rating, probably 4.5 stars. I did really enjoy it. I kind of just want to read like the other books for this vlog and have them to kind of compare to one another, because this was the first historical romance that I've read, so I have like nothing to compare it to. So I don't know if I just enjoyed it because of that or because it was just really good. Like, I did really like it. I really enjoyed the writing style for this book. I thought there was just a lot of beautiful quotes and things were worded really beautifully, but I also just felt like the author did a really good job of making me feel so much for these characters. Like, every time there was a slight interaction between the two, I was just having the best time. Like, I genuinely got really into the romance in this book, which obviously is a good thing considering it is a romance novel. So I'm really glad that I got really into it, because I feel like when the story was kind of being set up and we were introduced to the two characters that we were going to be following, I wasn't really like, I wasn't disliking it, but I was just kind of like, okay, like, this is happening, this is what I'm reading, this is fine. But then once like the first like sign of romance at all kind of started, I was like, oh, okay, I'm into this. So I did really enjoy it. I really liked too that the conflict wasn't because of the fact that they're both women and have feelings for one another, like, because I feel like it could have been very easy for, because of the time period and because they're both women, that could have very well just been the conflict. But I liked that that wasn't. The conflict did kind of rely a bit on miscommunication, which isn't always my favorite thing. Like, I find that it used to bother me a lot more than it does now, but it still can bother me. But I think the kind of miscommunication that they had made sense for how they were kind of dealing with certain things and the kind of insecurities that they both had. So I feel like the kind of conflict made sense, and I liked that it didn't just revolve around the fact that they were both women. I don't know, I thought that that was really great to read. And overall, I just had a really great time reading it. I read it in like 2 days. I just really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm gonna probably give it like a 4.5 star. I do feel like it's a good sign when I finish a book and I immediately go online to try and find myself a copy to buy if I don't own it already. I feel like whenever I read a book from the library, even if I enjoy some, I don't feel like they're always necessary to add to my actual like collection. But I immediately after finishing this went on to Amazon and was like, okay, like, do I add it to my wish list? So I'm contemplating it. I might add it, or I might just buy it. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I am thinking it's probably going to be a 4.5 star, but like I said, I do want to kind of see and compare it to the other books I'm reading for this vlog before I give a final rating. But obviously I will be going over my ratings for these books all at the end of the video to see how I feel about all of them and compare all of them. But yeah, that one was a great start to the vlog. I did really enjoy it, so I'm really happy that that was what I started with. So I have also started reading The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. This is the first book in the like Bridgerton series, and I'm even like excited, even if I don't love this book, I kind of want to watch the show, so I'm excited to like read this and then be able to watch that show, because I think there's a second season. that's going to be following the second book, because I think each book's following a different sibling, I think. Feel free to let me know down below in the comments, but we will see how I feel about this book if I'm continuing on with the rest of the series. But I did get up to chapter 3 in The Duke and I, and so far I'm liking it. I'm not that far, but initial thoughts, it's fine. I definitely feel like I need to get a few more chapters in, get a little bit farther into the book to see how I really feel about it, but I'm excited to read it. I feel like because of the show and how much hype the show got and like just how big the Bridgerton series and everything became when the show came out, I'm really excited to see like what it's all about. I haven't seen the best reviews for this book, I'm not gonna lie, so I'm nervous that I'm not gonna enjoy it, but so far it's fine. But I will definitely be updating when I have some more thoughts once I've read a little bit more, because I feel like right now it's just kind of like we're at the very start. I'm getting introduced to all the characters and I don't really have that many thoughts yet. So I am about halfway through The Duke and I now, so I wanted to give some more thoughts now that I'm a decent amount of the way through the book. So I also don't think I've really given a description about what this book is about. I think I just like, it slipped my mind due to, I think, its popularity. I was like, everyone already knows anyway. But very quickly, this is following Daphne Bridgerton, who basically is looking for a husband, but no one really sees her in that romantic way. She's kind of become friends with a lot of these people and is just kind of seen as very kind and just kind of seen as a friend. So she doesn't have a lot of people that are kind of willing to enter like a courtship with her because no one really views her that way. Then we have Simon, who is the Duke, as you would maybe predict, and he returns to England after traveling for a while, and a lot of the women are showing an interest in him because he is not yet married, but he has like no desire to get married, to have a family, to do any of that. So the two of them actually enter this like fake courtship with the idea that for him, these women will stop approaching him and trying to get him to be with them, and for her, having someone show an interest in her will make other people have an interest in her, so that she'll have actually people like trying to court her and everything. So it seems like a good plan. Enter this fake courtship, but obviously feelings maybe start to get in the way. So I do really like that element of the kind of fake courtship, because I do like fake dating in other novels where I've read it. So The Spanish Love Deception has fake dating, which is probably my favorite romance that I have read thus far. Obviously, I'm still like really getting into the genre, so I haven't read too many, but The Spanish Love Deception I think is my favorite, and that has fake dating. I'm also currently reading Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and this also has fake dating. And I've just read other books where it's had that trope, and I just think it's so fun, and so I really do like that about this book. It didn't last, I feel like, as long as I would have wanted it to, but it was still a fun addition. I did not know that this book had that. I literally did not know anything about the plot of the book or the show, so I didn't know that that was like the premise. So once I learned that, I was definitely a little bit more intrigued by this book. Something else I'm also liking is the different like sibling dynamics in this book, because Daphne is one of 8 children, so she has 7 other siblings, and I really like reading about that. I like reading about siblings and their relationships in books, so that has also been a fun thing to read about. And like, I think all the other books in the Bridgerton series are just following the different siblings, so depending on how I feel about this one, I might read the other ones, but I also don't know if I'm going to, because I don't know how I'm feeling about this book. It feels very like average to me. I feel like if I had to rate it right now, I'd probably give it like a 3-star. Like I said, there definitely are those things that I'm enjoying, but I don't feel like as invested in the relationship. Considering I'm also reading another book that has fake dating currently, I'm definitely a little bit more invested in the relationship in here and seeing how that relationship and that fake relationship plays out, more so than I am with this one. I just feel like I'm not as invested in this relationship as I have been with other romances that I've read, and even like with The Lady's Guide of Celestial Mechanics, I was so invested in that romance like the second it started. They kissed for the first time and I was like, okay, here we go. Whereas with this book, I'm like not as into it, I feel like. So I don't know, we'll have to see if I get a little bit more invested in the second half. So yeah, I do plan on finishing this today. Like I said, I'm like halfway through. I'm on chapter 13, so I think I only have like 10 chapters left. So hopefully I can get this done today. I could give my final thoughts, but so far I'm feeling very like meh about it. Like, it's very fine. Like, there's nothing that I'm obsessed with, but there's nothing that I'm really hating either. It's just very middle of the road as of right now. Okay, I am here with my final update for The Duke and I because I finished it yesterday. I had like half of the book left. I, just read kind of the second half in all one sitting, and I'm here to tell you all that I think I have found my worst book of 2022. Not only that, but like one of my least favorite books now, probably of all time. I did did not have a good time in that second half. Everything I said at like the last update that I gave at that halfway point was still true. Like, I wasn't loving it. I wasn't super invested in the relationship, but I also wasn't hating it. Like, I liked the fake courtship, fake dating kind of vibe. But halfway through the book, it kind of just took a turn where I just kind of felt a little bit more bored. And then something happened that it really made me uncomfortable. I'm trying not to get into spoilery territory, but if you've read the book, it was, I think, chapter 18. Let me clarify because I think I wrote it down. Okay, yeah, it was chapter 18. So if you have read the book or you have a copy, feel free to flip to chapter 18, open your textbooks to chapter 18. I just found what happened in that chapter to be extremely uncomfortable to read. Basically, I don't want to say too much again because I don't want to get into spoilers in this vlog, but there was definitely an issue of consent and Daphne not having it and doing something that was very uncomfortable to read. And honestly, it just put such a bad taste in my mouth that the rest of the book, I just was disgusted and just could not even get behind the relationship at all. I wasn't that invested in the first place, so to have that happen, it was just very easy for me to just stop caring. I honestly contemplated DNFing at that point, but I was like, maybe there's a discussion on this. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some consequences for what she did. Not that Simon was a saint either in kind of with this plot and what was going on in the conflict and everything, because I think he was definitely taking advantage of Daphne and her not being super knowledgeable in kind of what the conflict surrounded. But that doesn't mean that what they have both done is like on equal playing field. And I felt like throughout the rest of the book, it not only like was not addressed, was not talked about, it was almost made to be viewed as it was like his fault, that it was Simon's fault, and like everyone was mad at him. And I'm like, why are we mad at him? Like, I get it, like he wasn't perfect either and he was doing things that weren't great either, but I just feel like the whole like aftermath of that situation, it's made to feel like it's his fault and that we should be mad at him, and like some of the characters within the book are mad at him and angry with him. And I just felt like while I was reading it, I was supposed to be sympathizing with Daphne and like was supposed to be angry at Simon for doing this to her. And it's like, no, she is the one who did this to him, and like what she did is not okay. And like I said, it's not like he was perfect either, and he made mistakes and he did things that he probably should have apologized for, but it's like what she did was on another level and it just is never addressed, never talked about. If anything, like I said, it's made to be viewed as it's almost Simon's fault and not hers. So wasn't into that. And then kind of in the end, I just feel like everything wrapped up so fast. Like, I feel like what surrounded the conflict and what the conflict was, like Simon had such a change of heart within like a day. I just feel like it happened so fast. Like, there was literal trauma that was causing him to be the way that he was. I feel like it wouldn't take like a few hours for him to just completely do a 180 and change his mind. But yeah, everything that I maybe was sort of enjoying in the kind of first half got completely ruined by that point, and I was just really disgusted, honestly, and I just not into it. No thank you. I don't know what to rate this because I contemplated giving it a 2-star because I did somewhat enjoy the first half. Like I said, I wasn't super into it, but it was very fine in the first half, and then things just went really downhill in the last bit of the book. So I was like, maybe it's a 2 because I did enjoy some parts of it, but honestly, what happened in the last bit of the book, I really can't get by it. So I'm also contemplating giving it a 1. I was thinking maybe giving it a 1.5, you know, throw them a half star as a treat. I could be a generous queen giving an extra half star, but I don't know. It's going to be a low rating, and it's just solidifying that the Ladies Guide is going to be like a 4.5 stars because that was so much better than this, and I just kept wishing that I was reading that again instead. Yeah, so this is probably going to be maybe a 1.5 star. We'll see what ends up happening when it comes time for me to rate these books at the end of this video when this video goes up, because I'm going to keep my ratings to myself until this video goes up. I'm not posting them on Goodreads or anything, so we'll see what I end up rating this at the end of the day. But right now it's probably a 1.5. I'm like, I never rate books 1 star, by the way. I have like maybe like 3 books on Goodreads marked as 1 star. I'm sure there's some that I could maybe lower to a 1 star, but there wouldn't be that many. There's probably like a handful. So that's how I'm feeling. It was not good. I've heard that the situation that has me so upset and angry and uncomfortable happens in the TV show, but it's slightly different. Like, they changed certain details of it. So I'd love to know if you've seen the show, if you think it's any better. I'd also love to know if you've continued on with the books in the series, if they get better, because I've heard that the second book in the series is really good. But I also don't want to be this angry continuing on with the series if more and more like problematic things are going to be happening in these books. I'm just not, I don't know. Let me know if you've read the series, what your thoughts are. Feel free, leave them all down below. But yeah, this was not a winner. But I have started the third and final book for this vlog. I have started The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare, and so far it is so much better. I'm having a much better time. I'm like a fourth of the way through the book, and so it's really great so far. You're following this guy. I can't actually remember his name. He is the Duke of Ashbury, and he basically was engaged to this woman who ended up like calling off the wedding because he comes back from war kind of having all of these scars and everything. But because this wedding has been called off, it's kind of a problem because he needs to find a wife, he needs to create an heir. So he ends up meeting and crossing paths with Emma, who has kind of run from her father and from her like town and everything, and is now a seamstress and just kind of trying to get by. She doesn't have a lot of money. She barely has a roof over her head, so they kind of make this deal that she will be a duchess. There's the title. So they make this deal that they'll get married. She will produce an heir for him, while she will also have like financial security and like have a roof over her head and will never have to really want for anything. And so far I am enjoying it. I'm definitely having such a fun time. It is a bit cheesy, I feel like, at points, but I am really liking it. It's been really fun. I feel already pretty invested in the relationship. There was one point where she was trying to figure out what to call him, because she can't really call him like the Duke of Ashbury or, you know, Your Grace, because she is his wife now. So she kind of thinks that she deserves to have a certain name that she can call him. I actually just got the iPad because I took a screenshot of this part that made me laugh. So she's trying to figure out what to call him. She's trying out a bunch of different names, and they're actually like playing badminton while this is happening. So she says, what about Precious? She suggested. No. Angel? God, no. Muffin? And then he ends up like serving and hitting like a painting of one of his ancestors, and it goes, she cheered, well done, my precious angel muffin. I just think it's so silly and so like fun and cute, and I'm just really enjoying it so far. I think it's super fun. I really like the kind of dynamic between them because he's like super grumpy, but she's like not willing to just like sit there and take it. Like she is definitely like challenging him, and it's just super fun. The banter between them is great. So I'm hoping to, fingers crossed, finish this over the weekend, over the next couple of days, because I just am really enjoying it. So I want to continue on. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this one a lot more than the last one, and at this point I still haven't introed this vlog, but before starting any of these books I made a ranking, which I think I'm going to say in the intro. I thought that this was going to be my favorite, so I'm very excited to see if that is true, and we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to see if this one ends up being my favorite out of the three, but I did start really strong with the Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics, so we'll have to see. But so far I am really enjoying it, and I'm loving the dynamic between these two characters, so definitely going to be continuing on and hopefully finishing it up over the next couple of days. Alright, I finished the final book for this vlog. I finished The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare, and I feel like my prediction that this one was going to be my favorite was correct. I really enjoyed this. I loved the trope of like this marriage of convenience, but seeing their relationship become an actual relationship, seeing their real feelings for each other develop, because you do get both of their perspectives, which I really enjoyed. I actually think all the books I read, you get the perspective of both characters in the relationships, which is something that I do really enjoy. I do like seeing inside both of their heads, especially when both of these characters in The Duchess Deal both had things that they were kind of struggling with, on top of like trying to figure out exactly how they felt about one another. And I just liked being in both of their heads, especially Ash, because he's very like grumpy and very much like, no one is ever gonna love me because of what I like look like, and just all of these things that he is like so set against. But then you see him kind of become so soft for her, and it's just, it's so good. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of hard to talk about books that I really love sometimes, where like I don't have necessarily anything to say, but I just loved it and thought it was so much fun, and I just loved the romance and the relationship and how everything developed. And yeah, I don't know, I just really enjoyed the whole thing. Definitely will be continuing on with the series. Another thing, like I said about Ladies Guide, I immediately have gone on to Amazon or just like looked around on different websites to buy physical copies of these books, because I think I want to continue on with the series and actually like physically read them. So yeah, definitely a good sign if I want to buy physical copies to add to my book collection that I enjoyed them. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm very excited to continue on with the rest of the series, and I really loved this one. I think this might end up being my favorite out of the bunch, just because I feel like this was the relationship that I was the most invested in, but I feel like the Ladies Guide was definitely a close second. So yeah, definitely enjoyed this one as well, and we'll definitely be reading more from Tessa Dare in the future. Alright, now that all 3 books for this video are done, I'm going to go over my final rating, my final star rating for all of these books, as well as go over my predicted ranking and see if I was correct, go over my actual ranking of these books. So coming in at number 3, my least favorite book out of this vlog is The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. I can imagine this is no surprise. I think my final star rating for this book is just going to be a 1 star. I felt so uncomfortable after that certain point reading that certain scene, and I wasn't that invested in the romance to begin with. I feel like when you're reading a romance novel, it's kind of important to be invested in the romance and the characters and their relationship, and I kind of wasn't. I feel like everything that I was liking about this book up until that point that made me uncomfortable wasn't really having to do with the characters and their romance. I mean, I liked the fake courtship aspect, but it could have been just like that trope in any historical romance and I would have liked it, you know what I mean? Like, it had nothing to do with these particular characters and their particular romance. I just think that this was not for me. I really found that ending and how everything kind of came together and that particular scene very frustrating and uncomfortable, and I just didn't like it. So unfortunately, this was not a winner, but I'm still curious to check out the show. So coming in the number 2 spot is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. I honestly went back and forth at just making this and the other book I read for this vlog tied. I did really enjoy this one. I think I'm going to settle on a 4.25 star rating, which I know is very oddly specific, but it just makes sense in my head. I really enjoyed this book. I had such a fun time reading it, and I think it was a great book to start this vlog off with because I enjoyed it. I think it was such a great first introduction to the historical romance genre. I also just thought it was cool to see a sapphic relationship in a historical romance. I clearly am just getting introduced into this genre and don't know many authors, many different books, but I feel like from what I see with my very limited knowledge on this genre is a lot of more straight heterosexual couples in historical romance. So I thought it was really cool to see a sapphic relationship in this kind of genre, and I just really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy the romance, I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the kind of entire storyline about this text that needed to be translated. I just really did enjoy this. So I definitely want to continue on with this series and read more from this author. I think this author has a few other books outside of the Feminine Pursuits series. I think that this is what this is part of. I think that's what it's called. So definitely want to continue on with this series, but also read more from this author. And coming in at my number 1 spot, my favorite book that I read in this vlog is The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. I know it might seem like I'm maybe rigging this prediction because I introed this vlog after already reading these books, but I genuinely thought that this was going to be my favorite. Tessa Dare is an author that I've seen for a while. Before getting into the historical romance genre, every time I would see someone talk about historical romance, for some reason, Tessa Dare's books are always what stood out to me. So I really wanted this to be my favorite, and it ended up being my favorite. I loved this. I definitely found this was the couple that I was the most invested in. I was still really invested in the couple from The Lady's Guide, but this couple, I just really was rooting for them. I thought they had great banter. I just loved their dynamic. This definitely was a book that got, I think, the most reactions out of me. I feel like when I'm really enjoying a book or it's just making me feel a lot of things, I have like outbursts of reactions, whether I'm laughing or like squealing or like having to put the book down. And I feel like I had this with this book. I just got so into the relationship and the dynamic of this like marriage of convenience and them actually developing feelings for one another. It was just so much fun to read, and it was so funny. And definitely, again, we'll be continuing on with this series, and we'll be checking out more of Tessa Dare's books because this was chef's kiss, definitely my favorite from the video, and I think I'm going to give this a 4.5 star rating. I know you would think that I would maybe give it a 5 star, but I don't think it's quite that 5 star feeling, but I still really enjoyed it, and like I said, definitely want to read more from Tessa Dare in the future. But yeah, those are all of my final thoughts on all of the books that I read for this vlog, even though we had a literal 1-star book in this vlog when I don't give out 1 stars like ever. That was obviously a bit of a flop, but I definitely feel like I have found some really great historical romance authors and have definitely found that this is a genre that I want to read more from, which was why I wanted to do this video. I really just wanted to see if historical romance could be for me, and I think it can. I think there are some authors out there and some books that I want to read in this genre. If you have any recommendations, if you're someone that reads historical romances, if you have any recommendations, please let me hear them down below in the comments, because I only kind of know the more popular authors, so I'd love to hear any recommendations that you have. I would especially love to hear your recommendations if you have more marriage of convenience recs, because clearly that's something I enjoy, or if you have like fake courtship recommendations that aren't like The Duke and I'd love to hear those as well. Also, if you know of any like LGBT historical romances, because that's something, like I said, that I don't feel like I know very much of, because I don't really know much about this genre, but I'm sure that there are more out there and more exist, so definitely leave some recommendations below. I would love to hear them. But yeah, I think that that's going to be it for this video. I'm so happy it was successful. I'm so happy that I do have some historical romances that I enjoyed, and it is a genre that I want to read more from. That was the entire point of this video. I was really hoping this would be the outcome. So I'm very happy with this video, very happy that I read these books, and excited to hear your recommendations below. But I think that that is going to be it for this vlog. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.